Sumerian god, Dagan, male deity of a possibly West Semitic origin with a focus on the Middle and Upper Euphrates, most commonly attested in Mesopotamia in the late 3rd and early 2nd millennia before Common Era. Functions: in Mesopotamia, Dagan is associated with the Middle Euphrates, in particular the cities of Tiil and Turka. References to Dagan in some of the Akkadian royal inscriptions have been thought to suggest a military role for this deity, but his appearance in these texts at the time of certain battles may relate more to his association with the western regions in which these conflicts occurred. Dagan appears rarely in Mesopotamian mythology. He is mentioned in connection with the senior deity and in the Old Babylonian versions of the myth of Anzu, and in the Neo-Assyrian version he makes a speech recounting the deeds of Ninurta. In other cases, Dagan is said to keep with him the 7 children of the underworld god Mzra, and this netherworld aspect to Dagan is possibly supported by the temple built by Samsi-Adad I at Turkey called the Ikisiga Temple of the Funerary Offerings. The lack of wider mythological references, however, makes any discussion of his function difficult. In the Syro-Mesopotamian areas, Dagan's functions are uncertain. His association with funerary sacrifices at Mari and Ugarit is still contested. Mythological attestations of Dagan from Ugarit are few, and this has limited analysis. A possible etymology of the name Dagan from the West Semitic, Ugaritic root dgn, which can be translated as grain, and the Hebrew dagan, an archaic word for grain, has tempted some scholars to assume that he played a role in vegetation, fertility, which might be confirmed by his sons, the West Semitic deity Bull, role as a vegetation deity. A 4th century Ad tradition which places Dagan as a fish deity is erroneous. Divine genealogy and syncretisms, there is no evidence for the parents or creation of Dagan. In some traditions the spouse of Dagan was Sagesse, in others Ishara. While Dagan is recorded as the father of the West Semitic deity Bull at Ugarit, Bull is also known as the son of El, and some scholars, therefore, have suggested a syncretism of Dagan and El. Others have suggested a link in function and syncretism between Dagan and Bull, both having the attributes of a storm god or a link to vegetation. Pantheons should not be viewed as static or monolithic. The city of Ugarit was cosmopolitan, complex and interactive, and the Ugaritic pantheon necessarily should be understood as highly complex with multiple and competing rituals, myths and comprehensions. Cult places. There is a suggestion of a temple of Dagan and Ishar at Nippur in the Earth-3 period, while a dedicatory inscription of the Assyrian king Urdukaga mentions a temple of Dagan in Isa in southern Mesopotamia. Further west, a temple of Dagan dating to the 2nd millennium at Mari is now thought to be that of the deity Itamur, but the temple at Turku built by Samsi-Adad is of Dagan, and another temple to Dagan is believed to have existed at Imar. Attempts have been made to attribute temples in the Levant to Dagan, but such suggestions are only based on biblical literature, and the temple at Ugarit once considered to have been associated with Dagan has been reinterpreted as that of El. Time periods attested. In Mesopotamia the earliest textual references to Dagan come from the royal inscriptions of Sargon and Naram-Sin. From this period, Dagan also appears as a theophoric element in personal names, for example, Pu-Dagan, on the Manastis obelisk. In the Earth-3 period, the personal name evidence increases across Mesopotamia, and is prevalent in the Middle Euphrates region. Dagan was an important deity in this period. He appears in the contemporary god and offering lists, and is commonly attested in the records from Pusres Dagan and at Nippur itself. In some texts, Dagan appears in close association with Babati, the uncle of Susuin, clearly highlighting the importance of this deity to the Earth-3 ruling family. Moreover, Wetzilt has suggested that there was a gradual increase over time in the social status of the bearers of names associated with Dagan. This importance continues in the early 2nd millennium, with Dagan included in the royal names of the period, and in the praise literature of it in Dagan and Ism Dagan, kings of Isin, both of whom are referred to as the sons of Dagan. Dagan's relevance to the Middle Euphrates is found throughout the 2nd millennium. The Code of Hammurabi names him as the protector of the people of Tutul, and many of the individuals known from this area have names involving the element Dagan. At Mari in the early 2nd millennium, Dagan appears in a variety of texts, such as in the letters, god and offering lists, and administrative tablets. Yardunlim declares Dagan as the deity who gave him kingship, while Yazmudu describes himself as the governor of Dagan. From later periods of Mesopotamia, Dagan is less well attested, but he continues to appear in personal names, god and offering lists, and in connection with an. For example, Asabunapal describes himself as beloved of Anu and Dagan, but the latter may have become a fossilized literary phrase. He is still a deity of some consequence, however, for Dagan makes a speech recounting the deeds of Ninurta in the Neo-Assyrian mytho of Anzu, and within the temple of Azu there was a chapel to Dagan built by Shulman-Savi. Dagan was thought to have been a prominent deity on the eastern Mediterranean coast. The Amarna letters EA 317 and 318 from the middle of the 2nd millennium before Common Era, which were once thought to provide evidence for the worship of Dagan on the eastern Mediterranean, have been re-evaluated, and are now thought to have originated in eastern Syria. The prominence of Dagan on the eastern Mediterranean of the 1st millennium before Common Era comes mainly from the Hebrew Bible and the Second Temple literature, which associate Dagan with the temples of the Philistines. Recent work, however, has suggested that the role and position of Dagan may not be so definite. While Dagan is mentioned in the pantheon and sacrificial lists from Ugarit, and he does occur as a theophoric element in some local personal names, he is not well attested in the Levantine mythological literature. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.